Hey guys, welcome back to the Far Better Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Clark, and this is our discussion of premillennialism on the Far Better Podcast. This is Season 10, Episode number 13, and it is overall Episode number 207. 8 episodes left after this. Kind of hard to believe. I have with me again Bradley Smith. He'll be with us the next 2 episodes. That'll also conclude the video podcast in this nice produced and directed way and fashion. We plan to record a podcast together, Bradley and I, talking about the new heavens and new earth for this particular study of premillennialism, but we'll be doing that back at the cabin where we're located right now, and we're gearing up to do that later on tomorrow for us. For you, it's weeks from now. But, Bradley, I'm going to define it. Let's defeat it in the way that it's being talked about. And I realize saying that now, let's defeat Revelation 20 is not what I mean. I mean, let's defeat the doctrines that have come out of Revelation 20 that don't match. Revelation 20 is typically taught as a premillennialist view that it describes a literal 1,000-year earthly reign of Christ known as the millennium. The reign follows the second coming, which they claim has not yet happened. During this time, Satan's bound, and the first resurrection, verses 5 through 6, occurs, interpreted as the resurrection of the righteous only. After the millennium, Satan is loosed for a short time, gathers nations for war, and is then destroyed. The great white throne judgment follows, leading into eternity. The entire system depends on a literal interpretation of a chapter in a highly symbolic book, ignoring the structure and purpose of apocalyptic language. Go.
Either we believe the Bible is inerrant, or we don't.
Sure.
Either we believe that the Bible is free of contradiction, or we don't. Either we believe that the Scriptures are perfectly harmonized, or we don't. There is not going to be something taught in Revelation chapter 20 that disproves, contradicts, goes against other clearer, plainer Bible passages. Revelation chapter 20 cannot be talking about the end of time, cannot be talking about a literal earthly 1,000-year reign, cannot be talking about a literal earthly 1,000-year binding of Satan, because that's inconsistent with the rest of the Bible. Nowhere else do we find that idea. As we've already referenced many times already, the book of Revelation is written specifically in symbolic language. Now, some people might ask about that, and let's play this thought out in our minds. Imagine that you are a first-century Christian living in Asia Minor, facing persecution at the hands of the Roman government, and you're walking around with a document that says Rome is going to fall and the church is going to stand. What do you think might happen to someone in that situation? Probably not going to be very good for them. So, I think quite possibly in an effort to protect some of the Christians there, the book of Revelation was put into symbolic language. Somebody walking down the street who would pick this up, they wouldn't know what it meant. They didn't. Not that they didn't need to, but you know what I mean. The Christians would have known exactly what this meant. They would have known that this idea of a literal earthly 1,000-year reign has never been taught. That's never something that God has endorsed or supported or has said to be true. So now he's not going to introduce a new doctrine, especially one that contradicts other, clearer, plainer Bible passages.
Right. Christ is not a literal lamb.
What?
I know. Satan's not a literal dragon. The beast is not a literal monster. The 1,000 years represents a complete divinely appointed period of Christian victory, not a literal 365,000-day kingdom on earth. All of these things, the way that they are, might be shocking to some, but the chapter's symbolic. And we're a broken record at this point for sure. We've been saying this for quite a long time. What's missing from Revelation 20? Robert Taylor pointed out some very wonderful points, that there are some essentials that are not even mentioned. Here's what's not mentioned. National Israel and Palestine. David's literal throne in Jerusalem. Second coming to establish a reign. End of the church age and start of the millennial kingdom. A coronation of Jesus. Earthly Jerusalem. A fixed literal 1,000-year reign. The rapture. 3.5-year tribulation, the Antichrist, Battle of Armageddon. That's found earlier in Revelation 16:16, but not in chapter 20.
Not chapter 20, no.
Two separate resurrections spaced 1,000 years apart. Text doesn't support it. Earthly utopia or / the golden age. No earthly paradise is mentioned. That's interesting, by the way. Everything premillennialists need to support their system is missing from the very chapter they depend on the most. If that's not enough for a cause of concern, I'm not sure what would be. So what does Revelation 20 actually teach? Here we go. You ready? Satan is bound, symbolizes the restriction of his influence, not total inactivity. Thrones in judgment, verse 4, representing the reign of saints, 2 Timothy 2:12. First resurrection, verses 5 through 6, likely refers to a spiritual resurrection, John 5:24, Romans 6:4 through 5, not a bodily one. Then you have as well Satan released, verses 7 through 9, a final short-lived rebellion before judgment. Then there's the final judgment itself, verses 11 through 15, one universal resurrection and judgment, not split into two stages. What else can we say, Bradley?
Well, you make a great point. If Revelation chapter 20 is teaching all the things that people say that it is, where is it in the text?
Mm-hmm.
Where do we find all the things that you mentioned? It's just not there. A lot of people study the Bible with what is sometimes referred to as eisegesis. I take my own ideas and I try to make the Bible fit what I already believe. If I want Revelation chapter 20 to teach a literal earthly 1,000-year reign, you know what I'm going to come away believing? Most likely. If I'm not honest, I'm going to come away believing that and saying that Revelation 20 supports it. But a good, honest heart, one that truly wants to know what God's Word says, when they read Revelation chapter 20, they're not going to get the imagery that is so often depicted by those who teach these premillennial views.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this when we weren't recording, it really is not so complicated.
No.
The issue comes with these denominational teachings. Sometimes, even as Christians, we know that what people say is wrong.
Right.
We know that Revelation 20 doesn't teach that, but we might not know what it actually does teach. So looking at God's Word, taking it for what it says rather than what we want it to say will help us in more facets than just Revelation 20, but especially in that regard.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bradley, for being with us. We'll be back next week. It'll be a few seconds for us. It'll be 1 week's time for you. I didn't say this last week, and I meant to. Our tagline for this show has always been to live our lives in a way that is pleasing to God now so that our eternity can be far better. I hope and pray that each of us, as we strive to be better Christians, better servants, will remember that in our walk with Christ. Thank you so much, and God bless you.